Today we're going to be going over one of the most powerful PAL teams you can get in Palworld. This is going to be a fire-based setup built around Blazamut, Ragnarok, and Foxparks, as well as a whole bunch of Rubies. Rubies, while being super cute, can actually be incredibly powerful as well, and their partner skill is amazing if you plan on having a fire PAL team. Now, if you're wondering how powerful we can get some stuff, our Blazamut here, which is one of the most powerful PALs in the game as far as attack goes, while not even being fully upgraded, is currently sitting at 2,615 attack and 1,022 defense. Our cute little Foxparks is sitting at 1,580 attack, and our Ragnarok with Swift, Runner, and Legend, with 65% increased movement speed, is sitting at 1,744 attack and 1,016 defense. These things are absolute monsters, and the amount of damage they can put out is pretty awesome. It's going to make for farming up things in Palworld extremely easy, and with Ragnarok as your mount, you'll be able to traverse the world extremely quickly. It's one of the fastest PALs in the game, as far as sprint speed goes. Although, to be fair, any mount with Swift, Runner, and a Legend on it is going to be fast. But I've always had a fondness for fire-type PALs, so I really wanted to do a video dedicated to my favorite fire types and making them as strong as possible. Now let's get into everything you need to know to build this team for yourself. Now, the Foxparks we have is already pretty amazing with 1,094 attack, with a plus 80% passive skill bonus. We've got Ferocious, Musclehead, Lucky, and Hooligan. Now, if we really wanted to maximize this, we could transfer the Legend passive ability from one of the legendary PALs, and we can also grab Flame Emperor for a 20% increased fire attack damage from Blazamut, although I like a static attack increase rather than just an elemental attack increase if I have the choice. Now, while I do think Foxparks is one of the best PALs to do this with, it will work with any fire type PAL, and the next recommendation I recommend would be a Ragnarok. This is one of the fastest flying PALs in the game, and if you really want to farm up high level resources, you could fill up your team with Rubies with really great passive skills that'll help you as well as help your Ragnarok, and you can drastically increase your attack power, allowing you to farm up things significantly easier. Now, right now our Foxparks has 1,094 attack power, and if we look at Rooby, it has a passive skill called a Tiny Spark, while in team increases the attack power of Firepals. Now, I have put Vanguard and Stronghold Strategist on here. This is going to increase our player attack as well as our player defense. There are other great passive skills you could put on here if you want to. Well, really only one that I super recommend, which is Motivational Leader. This is a 25% increase to player speed. Now, it says player speed, but what it really means is work speed. You'll notice we have 400 work speed right now at level 50, and if we put a PAL with work speed in our party, you'll notice we now have 500 work speed. So at level 50, each PAL with Motivational Leader on it is going to give us an extra 100 work speed. If you're going to keep a bunch of Rubies in your party, you might as well get a nice little bonus while you're trying to craft things at base. I realize I accidentally called Ruby's partner skill a passive skill before, but the partner skill is incredibly important. That's what we're going to be building around. Now, our Foxparks currently has 1,094 attack, and if we put a Ruby in our party with a level 1 partner skill, that attack goes up to 1,155. That is a 10% attack increase over what we had before. Now, if we go to the PAL Condenser, where we can increase the max health, attack, and defense of our PALs, as well as level up their partner skills, we can take that partner skill up to level 2, and now we're at 1,161 attack. That first level is only going to give you an extra 1% of damage. If you really want to get the most out of this, you're going to need to upgrade Ruby all the way to 4 stars. 3 stars is a pretty good attack boost, but if you can get Ruby to the 4-star level, it's going to give you a much larger attack boost. Now, once you get Tiny Spark to level 5, you're going to get a plus 20% increase. Now, the best thing about Rooby is Rooby itself also gets this attack increase. So the more Rubies you have, all of your fire pals in your party are going to get a pretty significant attack power increase. Now, there are a couple different places you can farm up a ton of Rubies, and if you use Gigaballs, you don't even need to have to fight them or anything, so it's 100% capture rate, and there are some amazing Gigaball farms available to you. Obviously, you can craft your Gigaballs or you can farm them up, and I will have a video on this. It might already be out or it might be out in the very near future, but essentially you want to go to the desert and you're going to kill any of the humans out here, and they can drop you a ton of Gigaballs if you don't want to farm them up yourself and craft them. Now, my favorite Ruby farm is actually on this island right here. If you run laps around the outside and then a lap around the inside, you'll be able to catch tons of Rubies incredibly fast, and then you just kind of recycle that. So you run outside, you run inside, and you run outside and you run inside, and as you do these different loops, the Rubies will respawn. Now, you will need to catch a ton of Rubies if you want to max out 4 different ones. And you might want to do this for different reasons. Maybe you only want to have a flyer with the most amount of damage, or you want to have a Foxpark with the max damage, or a Blazamut. But more often than not, you're going to want a flyer and either a Blazamut or a Foxparks in your party, so you really only need to max out 3. If you want to max out 3 of the rubies to get the maximum damage bonus, you're going to need to tame about 350 rubies. If you want to max out all 4, you're going to need to tame about 470. I would recommend doing all 4 just so you have the options available to you, but start off with 1, then get to 2 as you kind of progress. But the damage output you can get from doing this is absolutely insane and could definitely be worth it, especially towards when PvP comes out or the raids at the end of the game. Now, once you have caught all of your rubies and upgraded them, there's a couple of different setups you can run with this. If we want to go with Ragnarok and just run around and farm things and blow stuff up, you can totally do that. With a Ragnarok and 4 rubies, you're sitting at 1744 attack and a decent amount of defense as well. And this thing isn't even fully upgraded either. Now, one of the great things about this is Rooby themselves are going to be pretty great just with 4 of them in your party. Each of them are going to have 800 plus attack, which is nothing to scoff at, especially early in the game as you're upgrading. I know mine are level 50 right now, but they can still be really, really good. Now, the way I would probably run this is having 1 flying mount or 1 ground mount if you want to use like Kitsune or any other fire type. And then I would carry Foxparks with me at all times. This little pal single-handedly carried us to level 50. It's certainly nothing to scoff at and can mow down hordes of enemies with ease, and even holds its own against the endgame legendaries. And the real reason behind this isn't because of its normal attacks, it's because of Huggy Fire, where you get to equip it as a flamethrower. The damage from Huggy Fire is incredibly powerful, not only from the attack that Foxparks has, but the increased partner skill level is really important as well, because that's going to help increase the damage. Now, going down to 3 rubies is going to reduce your total attack potential. Our Ragnarok is now at 1569, and our Foxparks is at 1459. Now, once you get to level 50, you can probably replace Foxparks with Blazamut. This is one of my favorite pals in the game, and with the current party setup of 3 rubies, Ragnarok, and Blazamut, we're sitting at 2,405 attack. We've got Burly Body on here, which means we can still actually pull more damage out of this thing. We've got Musclehead, Ferocious, and Legend. Now, you don't have to use these specific pals. If you have any other favorite fire types in the game, you can 100% use them. Now, the reason that I really like rubies is that while in team, it increases the attack power of Firepals, not the elemental damage of Firepals, but their attack power. Which means while you have a fire pal, you can teach it other moves. You could teach a fire pal a bunch of electric moves, water, ice, really whatever you want. As long as you have the skill fruit, you can teach it to any pal. Like, let's take Dragon Meteor, for instance. You could teach that to Blazamut or even Rooby if you so desired. Since we're increasing Pal's attack power and not just strictly fire elemental power, any ability you decide to put on any of your pals is also going to be increased by this. And I think that's just a fun way to be able to play the game. And I really do love that so many of these early game pals have versatility to be able to be used throughout the entire game. But regardless, I do hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.